John.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good.
Okay, so we've got our lovely fans who have asked you some questions today.
I hope they're not too hard. Hi everyone, I'm Rachael Johns, author of Outback Reunion, which is out now, and I'm in the pink chair at Better Reading.
First and foremost, where did you get your lovely jumpsuit from?
Oh, this jumpsuit is from a little company called Frock Me Out. It's in South Australia. I love all their stuff.
Sarah asked, what is your all-time favourite romance book?
Okay, well the easy one would be Bridget Jones' Diary, but I actually don't think it's my all-time favourite. I think it's up there, but my all-time favourite is actually Wall Banger by Alice Clayton. It's an old book, probably about 10 years old or something. So not old, but it's not a recent romance, but it is hilarious and really good banter between the hero and heroine. I loved it. Just think it made me laugh, but it also made me feel, everyone felt so real in it that you could imagine that it would actually be happening. And there's such good chemistry, and it's very much your enemies to lovers. So, yeah.
Tara asked, will the Bookstars Book Club be making a comeback in any of your future novels?
Oh, I've never thought about that. Oh, actually, that's a lie, because somebody else asked me about that just recently and said the Bookstars, which is from the other Bridget, should have their own book. So they were a senior book club for anyone who hasn't read it, and they were a lot of fun to write. So I hadn't thought about it, but you're the second person who's asked, so maybe. Oh, I'm glad you like Mandra enough to want a sequel. It's probably one of my favourite books that I ever wrote. It was so much fun. At least that's how I think about it now, all these years later. Who knows at the actual time. So I don't know, never say never, because there's a whole load of books that I never thought that I would write. Well, this series, which is Outback Reunion, is a 6 in what was always going to be a 3-book series. And I'm actually contemplating a sort of a sequel for something at the moment. So never say never.
Trish said, I loved The Work Wives, but I wanted to know what inspired you to write the Outback series. I'm reading the 4th one at the moment and I can't put them down. I've gotten so involved they remain on my brain all day.
Oh, thank you. I love that. That's really great compliment. What inspired me I have to think back, because this series has been going for quite a few years now. And the first book was Outback Dreams, and that was inspired by I think at the time I was going through an autism diagnosis with one of my sons, and so that was one of the things, and just living in a small, I should say that there's an autism element in that book, living in a small town. So I spent 11 years in small rural communities. I think at the time I was writing Outback Dreams, the first one, I was in Goomalling, which is in the wheat belt, a tiny town of about 500 people. And so it's just living in the small communities that inspired all my rural romance books. I love the fact that everyone knows everything about everyone else in a small town. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. So yeah, it was just wanting to create. I think also I'd read a number of books from authors in the UK and the US who had series of romance novels set in small towns, and I wanted to create something similar here. Well, there's so many beautiful towns that I love. I will say that Bunyip Bay, which is my fictional town in the Outback book series, is based on a town very loosely based on Dongara in Western Australia, which is about 4 hours north of Perth. And I remember thinking I'd heard of it before, but never been there. And I just thought Dongara sounds like a quite ugly place. And it was just this beautiful town, coastal, and so not at all what I thought it sounded like. So yeah, that's one of them, but there's so many beautiful places. And I want to go to so many more that I haven't been yet.
Do you have a favourite fictional small town from any book you've read?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a great question.
And I have to, actually, this is a weird random one. It's an island book, so it is fictional, and it's a small town because it's set on an island, and it is called The Invisible Husband of Frick Island. I don't know if anyone's read that. And yeah, I really loved that. So Frick Island is my favourite small town.
I love that. Deb asks, will there be a 3rd Bridget?
Oh, I can almost 100% say no, I think. So it's the second one, which is coming out in January. The Bad Bridesmaid is linked to the other Bridget, but it was easy to do that because Bridget's best friend was single, and it's a rom-com, so I had some, but everyone else in that series is pretty much, they're already happy. They're already with people, and so because it's a romance, I've got no one else to choose, so no, probably not.
Jade asks, how do you come up with your book ideas?
Oh, that's a hard question. I think because the ideas come from all different places. I think, and no one book is just one specific little idea. So I feel like writing a book is a bit like doing a jigsaw puzzle. Only you don't have all the pieces to start with, and you have to kind of work them out as you go along. So I often come up with a title first. And it's not that I'm sitting there thinking, oh, what's a good title? It's just something will land in my head. That happened for the Work Wives, the Patterson Girls, although the Patterson Girls was not called the Patterson Girls. It was the title that came into my head was Patterson's Curse. Man Drought, we mentioned that earlier, but that is a book that the title came first, even though it's not actually about a man drought at all. It's about a woman drought, but that didn't sound as good. So I often found if I think of a title I love, then I'm like, oh, I just really want that book to be a title, that title to be a book, and then I have to come up with an idea from there. But it's also little things like newspaper articles, podcasts. This book, Outback Reunion, is set part of it's a circus sort of theme in this book. The circus comes to Bunyip Bay, and that was simply because I think it is quite difficult writing small town to come up with like original storylines. You know, in any book there's only so many stories, and so I wanted something a little bit different, and I happened to drive past the circus and suddenly thought, yeah, that's it, the circus can come to town. So really ideas and inspiration can come from everywhere.
Karen asks, hey Rachel, out of all your books, which one would you love to become a movie?
Oh, I thought you was going to ask which is my favourite, and that's really hard. Which would I love to become a movie? It's interesting because I don't really even care about, like, obviously it would be great to have a book in the movie because it means more people would probably read it because they'd get to know it through the TV, and then you get the film tie-in. Are there any film tie-ins here? Because I just love the film tie-in of book covers often. So I never sort of think, oh, I want this to be a movie. But if I was going to choose one, it would probably be my book, The Greatest Gift, which is about egg donation and hot air ballooning, two very different. And I just think, yeah, there's got a storyline that would be quite sort of dramatic for a screen. Yeah.
Verity, again, how do you come up with new and fresh ideas after writing so many books?
Yeah, that's really hard because it does feel like not only is everything being done by someone else, but, you know, now I'm actually noticing that, you know, I come up with similar ideas. Actually, I'm rereading my book, The Patterson Girls, for reasons that I can't say yet. And I just realised that they go bowling, or someone takes one of the characters bowling in that, because they need to let off steam. And that happened in my book, The Other Bridget, as well. It's been like, 10 years or so between the books. So, and I don't reread them unless there's a reason to. So yeah, you have to think about those sort of things. I think coming up with original ideas, it's something I want to have fun while I'm, nothing's fun all the time when it's a job, but I want to try and enjoy what I'm doing. So I try and come up with, even if the storyline is similar, like, as we said, there's only so many stories in the world, especially for writing romance. You've got tropes and things, enemies to lovers and secret babies and all this sort of stuff. It's the characters that make it kind of original. So I love coming up with characters that have really interesting jobs, if I can, hobbies, things like that. So yeah, I really do try hard not to write the same book over and over again, but obviously from what I've just seen, I need to make sure I don't write the same scene over and over again. I think, well, now obviously I'm like, oh, do I have something with bowling, an obsession with bowling, obviously? Or now I'm like, did I put it in? Well, like, not professionally or not like regularly, maybe once every 3 years or something.
Maybe that'll be the whole plot for a new.
Yes, maybe.
Britt asks, do you have any quirky habits that help you get into the creative zone?
Oh, my quirky, well, I don't know if it's a quirky habit. What I do to get into creative zone is usually have Diet Coke. So there's been this thing, because I used to write, obviously I've been writing quite a long time, and I used to write in the tiny time my kids would sleep during the day together, and I would always have a can of Diet Coke during that time. So I think now it's kind of just
comfort.
It's a thing, yeah, it's kind of just become a ritual. I don't know if I have any more other little quirky things I do. No, I'm pretty boring. Really? No, I think I'm pretty boring.
And finally, we ask at Better Reading, what are you reading?
God, it's tough. I'm actually reading about 5 different books at once. So I do that audio book, like Kindle, a few books. But I saw actually earlier, so I can't remember the ones I'm actually reading because I'm reading 5. But I saw this book up here, The Sunshine Sisters by Jane Green, and it's literally one of my favourite books, and I want to reread it now. Also, I'm going to steal this copy because it's a different cover, and I love it.
Well, that's all the questions for today. That wraps it up. Thank you.
Thank you. It was so much fun.